How's it going, YouTube? Got another video here. I am going to be replacing a pretty crucial part in my front suspension here. These GKtech LCAs. I'm replacing the spherical bearing in there. I just found this out, that was even happening, that there was play in the system. But I picked up a upgraded spherical bearing. So the only one I could find that would ship, this was from FK Rods. So this is an FK bearing, HIN 12T is the same. It's the same one that GKtech sells. So this is a little bit better made. I wanted to go with a QA1 bearing. I guess there is also, I forget the other two, but FK bearings or QA1 were the two that I was looking at. So this should last a little bit longer. I'll try and get some footage of the loose bearing maybe as well and show you guys that. But probably going to be doing a decent amount of voiceover like I did in my last video. I just kind of want to get this done. I already did the other side, the driver's side, so I'm just going to walk you guys through the passenger side. And here we are. So this is the suspension play. They do this at every tech inspection at Lock City, but I didn't notice this play coming from the system until, well, when I was doing bolt check for the comp. So as you can see, that spherical bearing is loose, so I gotta replace it. Basically just gotta, do the normal bits here, taking off wheel spacer, rotor, and caliper. It's basically what I'm doing now. So now with the brake rotor, brake caliper off, just gonna go ahead and undo the sway bar end link, and we're just gonna be loosening basically everything in this front suspension. So slide that out of the way, and now we're just gonna move on to getting this main arm broken loose as well. We're keeping all of the bolts in, just kind of like hand tight for now. Just gotta make sure everything is you want to be able to get a wrench on everything to be able to torque it and break everything loose. So that's the strategy, just kind of getting everything finger tight for now. Alright, so now we can start by undoing the top bolt on this ball joint shank coming out of the spherical bearing. I'm going to start with the top bolt, since the bottom bolt is held in with the the ball joint shaft. So I'm just going to start off with this one up top. You see here, I got my extended, the long socket is stuck on the wheel bearing, so I had to tighten it back down and get a shorter socket to undo the top one here. It's a little bit tight in there, so see if you got short and tall sockets. More sockets the better. But yeah, here we go, getting that top nut off there. We're gonna leave this on hand tight for now because we don't want this knuckle dropping completely off of the off of this LCA before we get this bottom nut off. So with that top bolt removed, we're gonna just kind of move back under the car and get there's three bolts that hold the rear of the arm and the main arm together. So we're just gonna go ahead and break those loose, take off the nuts, but leave the bolts installed so we can still work on the car, get the torque that we need to in the arm, and break things loose. And now we can get that bottom ball joint bolt off of there. So I'm just taking a jack. I gotta jack up this knuckle, get some weight under that so I can break this loose. So we're just steering the car straight, get the jack under there in a decent spot, and start jacking it up so we can get some pressure on that. So using a breaker bar, I forgot to lock the steering shaft, so just did that, and now it should break loose. And we're good to go after that. Just a little bit of weight and that'll do it. And with that loosened, we can get our bottom coilover bolts off of here, or at least the nut. So we're just going to break that loose, take the nut off, and then we'll swing around and get the bottom nut off of that ball joint shank. So keeping that bolt in there for now, we're gonna start lowering this jack so that that knuckle can relieve pressure, so we can get that bottom coilover bolt out. So now everything is off of the car essentially. So right now I'm just going to tap that ball joint shank with a hammer, let that knuckle drop off, and move that out of the way. So the only thing holding the arm on the car right now is that main bolt that's just hand tightened for now, and the 3 bolts on the main arm that are just kind of sitting in there. So now we're just getting that main arm bolt off, and then we'll fish this arm out of here. So with the arm out of the car, just going to take this ball joint shank off, making sure to keep these washers in the same orientation as I took them apart. So taking that shank out of the spherical bearing now, and just going to set that aside, and we can start cleaning up this spherical bearing to be pressed out. Just going to be using some compressed air here, get all of the whatever's in there. It's only got 8 vents on it, but it's dirty. So we're blowing it out, and we're gonna spray some penetrating fluid in there as well, and then get the circlip removed here. So now we can start pressing this bearing out. Mine popped out fairly aggressively, as you can see. Don't be afraid of pressing out the bearing. It takes a decent amount of pressure. So with that out, we're pressing in the new bearing now. I'm not too sure. I think I used a 24 to press the old bearing out. I think this is a 29 pressing it in. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, we're just taking a little bit of extra time. I gotta rotate this arm around. My press doesn't, press too evenly. So we're just taking a little bit of extra time, making sure that that is seated and we can get this circlip installed. Now we're just gonna get this circlip in. I started with getting the side opposite of the pliers in the groove first, and then pressing the remainder with a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. Probably could have pressed the bearing in like a ½ mil more, but the circlip was able to be installed, so I called it good on that. Now we're just getting this ball joint shank back into the arm so we can put it into the knuckle. and get it back into the car. So just kind of want to line that up with the knuckle, and then we can get the rest of this arm lined up. So getting the rear arm lined up with the main arm, and then also getting the main arm lined up with the subframe. So, and also the coilover. So I mean, there's a lot of pieces we got to line up here. Can be a bit of a pain, but you know, just a little bit of manhandling. It worked out. So we're just getting that bolt in now and getting everything lined back up, ready to be reassembled. And we're just gonna swing up top and get this coilover bolt in. And I don't know if you guys missed it, but I got both the nuts hand tightened onto the knuckle there. So we're just kind of wiggling this arm back and forth. It's a pretty tight fit, but you know, it slips right in after a little while. It's a pain in the butt, I'm not gonna lie. So after we get our coilover bolt in, we can start lining up the main arm with the rear arm, start dropping those 3 bolts in from the top, and move on from there. So with the bolts dropped in, we're gonna get the nuts on tight, but not to spec yet. We want them tight so we can jack up this knuckle to get the ball joint shank nuts torqued to spec. So we're gonna start off with this top nut, get that torqued, and then we'll move on to the bottom one now. So jacking that up a little bit more to get enough stopping force so this can, you know, stop spinning on me, while also having the wrench up top from keeping it from spinning. So we get this to spec, then we can move on to the main arm. And we're finally able to get this main arm torqued onto the subframe. After we get this torqued on, we're gonna go ahead and torque all those 3 bolts from the rear arm to the main arm. So this is now one piece, and we can then get our sway bar in. So our sway bar end links in. After that, we're gonna get our coilover bolts, bottom bolt torqued on, and that's basically it. Job well done. Definitely was a tedious job, but totally worth it. Not gonna have any problems through tech now. I actually had no issues, so we're good to go on that. All right, so I think I might call a video on that. Basically after that, just gotta put on the brake rotor, brake pads, caliper, Johnny, and that's it. There should not be any more play in the wheels like I showed earlier. So yeah, might pick this back up tomorrow, might not, but if that is the end of the video, a lot of voiceover this time. If you guys like the video, please comment, rate, or subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Probably next video is going to be a drift comp. So I'm actually going to be doing a competition at Lock City Street Series, and yeah, we'll see how I do. So I think I'll do pretty good. But peace out, guys. Enjoy your rest of your night wherever you are.